Hey, this is Helen Paradise from SoCal, and you are listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Hey, good evening, and welcome to the Really Big Barbecue Central Show. This is the show that talks about all things important in the world of barbecue and grilling. The show originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city, Bomb City, USA, Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I am your program host, Greg Rempe. Happy to have you aboard here on your Tuesday evenings live fire fun and frivolity show. If you want to get in touch with the show this evening, if you don't know how to follow the show, your first time catching in on the live stream, and you want to know all the contact info, take a listen.
You can get in touch with the show by sending an email to Greg at bbqcentralshow.com. Follow us on all the social media channels at BBQ Central Show. And be sure to subscribe to the show podcast feed on your favorite podcast platform.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the hotly revamped and totally sexy website, the bbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening in case you can get the newsletter, by the way, which is something you can also re-sign up for on the newly revamped homepage and website, because when we moved over to the website terrorists, not only did the email stop working, but the newsletter stopped working, but then we moved over to Jotville. They reconnected everything. So not only can you do for the newsletter, but in the under the subscribe tab at the bottom, if you want to give show feedback or a topic you would like to hear, fill out that little form, hit submit, and then I get notified about that, and I can put together a show in the future. So many different ways now that you can contact me, and we thank the folks over at Jotville for making all that happen. In about 12 minutes from now, because we are now officially in the 6th month of 2023, a person who has never before let off a month on the first Tuesday, and of course, I'm just kidding, it is our pal Malcom Reed joining us from Killer Hogs, How to BBQ Right, yes. And then, 35 past the hour, a quarterly visitor down a little south and west of me, and the founder of Another Pint Please, Mike Lang, joins us on the show. And then we move to the second hour because it is the first Tuesday of a month, but in the second hour you find this guy always, Sam, the cooking guy. Yes. Who I had a phone call with earlier today talking about utter nonsense that had nothing to do with the show, which those are the best phone calls. And rounding out the show this evening, a second-time guest and the creator of Girls Can Grill and the associated website, girlscangrill.com, Christy Vanover, closes the show. Don't forget, you can follow me socially, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and the Snapper Snaps at BBQ Central Show. And, of course, we are saying good evening to those of you watching tonight through one of the video streaming platforms, Facebook or Twitch/BBQ Central Show. Also, you can take in the show via YouTube, which is youtube.com/at BBQ Central Show. And we do have a new poll question of the week. It was something else about 4 hours ago, and then I got an email from embedded correspondent official in Colorado, Dennis Busso, who has now created this poll question of the week. I'm asking you this, and it is hotly debated right now over on the tubes. Would you make a 50-50 mix of wood pellets and wood chips, mix them together, 50%, let's say a 5-gallon bucket, so 2.5 gallons of wood pellets and 2.5 gallons of wood chips, not weighted, just that in volume, and then mix them together and open up your pellet cooker's hopper door and slam that mixture in there? Would you run it to increase the smoke flavor from your pellet cooker? And currently, at breakneck speed, nobody can make up their mind. It's a deadlock. Yes and no, forcing it together. But before we got to the first result here, it was no winning by the slimmest of margins, and now that has corrected itself. Oh, wait a second. Now it has changed. Currently, 55% of you are saying no, you won't do it. I'm hesitant to even ask the question because I'm not here to purport anything other than I was doing a little research. I ended up on YouTube. There was a show that was recommended. No, you know what? That's a total lie. Dennis from Colorado sent me something on YouTube. This is what happened now. There's a YouTube channel called Ballistic Barbecue. I think I've heard of Ballistic Barbecue. I don't recall the host at all. And this was his method. Now, he was using a specific cooker, a Lone Star pellet cooker. I'm familiar with the brand, but I have no intimate knowledge of any of their cookers. But this is the one he's using. And he's saying, hey, to give you a more kicked-up smoke flavor, he has decided to use 50-50 mix of wood pellets and wood chips. The wood chips he was using were the Lone Star Grill's brand. I doubt, I don't know this, but I would doubt that they are manufacturing their own. Maybe it's private labeled from some other one. I don't know how much difference there is from chip to chip. But this is what he's doing to get a bigger smoke flavor. So the only question, I'm not recommending doing it. I'm only asking, would you consider it, making a 50-50 mix of wood pellets and wood chips to increase smoke flavor in your pellet cooker? And right now, 55% of you are saying no. We'll keep you updated through the show here this evening. So let's start here this evening. And I have to ask, is this going to be the weekly email or emails that I'm going to get from here on out? Did I get less than 200 emails through the course of the week telling me that I should start a new or additional podcast with Bob Trudnak and Mo Kason? So many emails telling me how great the extended interview was, the interaction between the three of us was, the interaction between Bob and Mo was, the fact that some of you secretly don't believe that these two guys are anywhere near as good friends as they purport to be. The reaction to the segment, almost second to none. I can't comment on how tight Bob and Mo's friendship really is, but I can tell you this. I have exactly zero reason to believe that they aren't as chummy as they appear to be or as they say they are. If you're going on vacation with another family, there has to be a high or a highest level of intimacy and confidence there of friendship, because there's a lot of people and a lot of chances for things to go south quickly, and then what? Your ass is trapped. So if Mo and Bob say they are brothers from other mothers, I believe him 100%. If Bob says Mo is one of his closest friends, I believe him 100%. Moreover, believe this 100% when I tell you there is a 0% chance there will ever be a Mo, Bob, and Greg podcast. Maybe there will be a Bob and Mo podcast in the future. Maybe there's already one in the works. But there will not be a three-way between us dudes. Wow, did I say that out loud? That sounded better in my head. Nevertheless, there will never be a podcast that involves the three of us as co-hosts. So we will wait until next week to see who I should be doing a podcast with then. By the way, can I please play one of my favorite sound bites from this interview last week? There were a lot of great moments from that interview, but this one stood out to me as a gem. Just to set it up a little bit, I asked Bob and Mo how they met initially. Mo mentioned that he tried calling into the Barbecue Guru when Bob was the marketing manager there a few times. Bob wouldn't take his call. And then at the 2008 American Royal, magic happened, and I'll let Mo take it from there.
And then we was at the American Royal, and Bob comes up to me, man, out the blue, man. He looked like a little kid, you know. And I said, "What's up, man?" He goes, "Yeah, I'm Bobby T." I said, "Bobby T, man, that sounds like a pimp. What the hell you doing? What the hell you doing? And he gave me a barbecue guru, and we just hit it off.
All week, I'm walking around muttering the phrase in my head secretly and out loud. Yeah, I'm Bobby. I'm Bobby T. So I emailed Bob later in the week, and I asked him if that's how it really went down. He said no. But I'm going to believe in my own mind and heart that's exactly how it went down, because to me, it's funny as hell. And I'm not lying when I say that could be the next animation that Damian Rodriguez is going to be contracted to do by this show. 100%. Hey, I'm Bobby. I'm Bobby T. I liked it so much, I made it its own sound drop on top of that sound drop that I just made. I'm Bobby T.
Yeah, I'm Bobby T.
Oh, Lord. My guess and what they say. Magic. Malcom Reed is ready to go. Maybe he'll drop some magic that I can stick on my soundboard for later play. Actually, I have one of his. Pits and Spits is the best-looking, best-cooking smoker and grill on the planet. Pits and Spits offering a full family of products, including traditional offset smokers, wood pellet grills, charcoal grills, travel grills, combination pits, fire pits, and much more. Pits and Spits has been one of the only American fabrication shops focused on smokers and grills for more than 40 years. Why is that important? Because they're able to put an emphasis on quality and design, locally sourced materials, and unmatched attention to detail. From the fully welded barrels to the heavy gauge steel, they bring both function and beauty to life. Pits and Spits, building every product with the intention it's going to get passed down from generation to generation to generation. Whether you're into competition barbecue or you just want to take that barbecue and grilling game in the backyard to the next level, there's a product for you over at Pits and Spits. Check them out at the website and this special link, pitsandspits.com/BBQ Central Show. That's pitsandspits.com/BBQ Central Show. Both the Pits and the Spits have the double T on the Pits and the Spits. Use promo code BBQ Central for a free spice pack with your order of $500 or more. So if you're ordering a cooker, you're well past $500 there. If you already have a cooker at home and you accumulate $500 in accessories or rubs or side cookers or fire pits for free things, because we love free things here on the show, use promo code BBQ Central at checkout, and you'll get a free spice pack with $500 or more on your order. We might have some new messaging coming up, too, because Pits and Spits is extended through the second half of the year, which we certainly appreciate. Jason's Boral and all the gang out there. Coy, what's happening? And we'll be back with Malcom Reed right after this. Stick around. Be right back.
Broadcasting live from the Barbecue Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
And welcome back. This portion of the show being brought to you by cookinpellets.com, your number one source for quality wood pellets for all your pellet-driven cookers. Visit cookinpellets.com for more information. Or you can purchase at Amazon.com, Lowe's.com, wherever you like. Plus, they got great shipping. Amazon, Lowe's. There's another one that I can't remember right off the top of my head. But it's a big one. It's the good folks over at cookinpellets.com. My first guest tonight is the pitmaster of Killer Hogs competition team and the co-creator of How to BBQ Right. And our first Tuesday of the month regular guest. It's our pal Malcom Reed. Hey, Malcom.
What's up, Greg? We're halfway, man.
I can't believe it. We are here, undoubtedly, as I said, the first Tuesday of January 2023, rapidly coming to a close. And look who's right. Time waits for no man. Before we get into things here, Malcom, I want to ask you the YouTube poll question of the week. Would you make a 50-50 mix of wood pellets and wood chips put them in your pellet cooker hopper to increase the smoke flavor from your pellet cooker.
You know, I heard you talking about it. That's very interesting. I wouldn't do it if I didn't have an extra grill to cook on, because I don't know what it's going to do. You know, the manufacturer says don't do it.
Of course.
But I have used like dehydrated onion, dehydrated garlic, and put herbs and stuff in there to give the pellets a different flavor. We poured those right in the hopper before, like buy the big bottle from Sam's and just add them for added flavor. I don't know what the BTUs would do off burning. You know, those chips burn so hot and so fast. So one, you know, I'm worried about them building too big a fire in the fire pot. And also, are they going to get jammed up? Because those pellets are hard and those chips are going to compress a lot. So I don't know what they're going to do with that force. But it's interesting. And, you know, it's something that, I mean, I'm not opposed to trying out one of my old banger grills.
Are you familiar with Ballistic Barbecue on the YouTubes?
I've seen his videos. Yeah, he's been around a good bit. I think he's a West Coast, maybe.
San Diego, I believe. And
yeah.
I was forwarded a link by Dennis Busso out in Colorado. And he said, hey, take a look at this. Not saying try it, or just something he found interesting. And here's this guy, as I was talking about, on the specific grill, Lone Star Grill pellet cooker. I don't know anything about it. And he said, the biggest, I mean, what do we always hear about pellet cookers? The smoke profile is not as heavy as a stick burner. Look, I have a whole weird thought about what people really feel like about smoke. I mean, you, me, you know, your family, my family, they're helpless. They're indoctrinated into this barbecue and grilling lifestyle, so they might develop a little bit more of a heavier palate for smoke. But I think by and large, the general public likes to talk about I'm smoking or it has smoke flavor, but they're not really into a heavy smoke profile. So that's where the success, aside from keeping temperature and you don't have to learn how to manage a fire or anything like that, but the wood smoke is there, but it's nice and light. It's agreeable to most palates. And this guy trying to press more smoke flavor into something that's built to give you basically a lighter smoke profile, I think is interesting, like you said. I would never try it in any of my grills, too, because my luck would be it wouldn't jam right up front or jam towards the burn box where it might burn through the jam. It's going to be right in the middle of that pipe. And then I'm going to have to stick some kind of air hose up there and blow it out, what have you. And it's going to be a nightmare. So, again, I'm not suggesting anybody do this. I'm just asking the question. But you're up to it for one of those toss-aways before you put it on the tree lawn. You might load it up with a 50-50 and see what works.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, I'm going to. Now we're talking about it. You've done convinced me. We got to see if it works. I'll record it, see how it goes.
All right, we're going to make a TikTok. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. All right, so let's talk about last month, Memphis in May. We had a big build-up to it. As I had mentioned to Chris Lilly a couple weeks ago, it seemed like this particular Memphis in May had build-up to it, the likes we had never seen, stretching back months and months before the event actually comes to pass. So when you look at just the competition part, we'll get into some of the ancillaries and the park itself talk and whatnot. How did the cooking portion go for you this year?
Everything went pretty smooth this year. I mean, we didn't finish as good as I'd hoped, but, you know, it's Memphis in May. You do what you do. But as far as the way the actual competition ran on Saturday, everything was smooth, man. There was no issues that I heard of with judging. You know, I've heard some rumors of stuff. You know, some people weren't kind of happy with some results, but that's always the case. But on my end, I mean, everything went good. Weather was great. You know, it was Memphis in May. I mean, it was definitely felt smaller scale. You know, you could tell that the teams was scaled down. It didn't seem like it was as festive as it has been in the past.
From a results standpoint, as you had talked about, we had mentioned last time that you guys were switching to do a whole hog. You were using Jay from the grill company. I'm not going to remember. Outlaw, right?
Yeah.
And he had that special like pivot pit, and it was a offset, but then it also had a part for you to take coals out of the offset and place them directly underneath to kind of get that old school flavor. Do you think that played into not having as great a success, or did you have enough practice on it leading into it where that wasn't a factor?
Yeah, no, our hog turned out great. I mean, on-site scores were where we, you know, knew they would be. It always comes down to blind box at Memphis in May. You got to get on the right blind table. I mean, I think we stuck 2 9s and like a 9.6, and that's how tight our scores were to be at 18.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, you're not. We're talking. I mean, minuscule. It could have easily went the other way, and we would have been in top 10. Who knows? We may have finaled. So there's a little luck part to it. Our hog turned out fantastic. We slowed the cook down some. We kind of held it a little, too, to give it some time to rest on in, and everything. From our standpoint, we were really thrilled with the product. So it was as good a hog as we've ever turned in at Memphis in May.
Would you back it up next year? Go whole hog again?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. It was fun. It's a fun cook. I got a good squad that does the nighttime work, so I kind of take that off me. I'm there on Friday, and then I go home a little bit and come back bright and early Saturday to finish it up. So that's the schedule. The schedule on our side just works for hog, and hog judged last this year, so we didn't have a judge on site till like 1:15, 1:30, something like that. So that's a pretty good stretch. You got a lot of time on Saturday to catch things up if something is going wrong. So I like that aspect of it.
Your opinion on the newly renovated Tom Lee Park? Plus, I think we're only, a week removed outside of the music festival that takes place ahead of the actual cooking competition?
From what I saw, I mean, it just from looking at it for me, they added a bunch of gardens. They added some playground equipment, stuff like that. They kind of made it more visitor friendly to where when it's not a festival, there's something to do there, because it was just a giant field. And it looked good. They weren't really done with all. There's a lot of it roped off, or they were just trying to keep people off of it. They made loading in and getting our trailers in and out and stuff like that was a little more challenging, because the paths that we used to have that were wide, they've got some of them you can't even travel on. They don't want cars and trucks on them. They don't want trailers on them. There was a little bit. I would say there's a lot of policing what was going on with us, what we could do. And if, you felt, I'll say you felt like they didn't want you there. So, that part was strange to us, because most of the time, Memphis in May is just a cool laid back event, but it was a little more heavily policed this year.
Outside of these two big events, I don't know if you know or not, are there a lot of other festivals or reasons to use this park, or otherwise would it be more family oriented, or some tourists just kind of bebopping around until they leave town for however long they're in?
Yeah, that's it. That's the only one I know of that's ever, in May is the only time I know that they do festivals there. So the rest of the time it's public use.
In your opinion, is this a place that Memphis in May can stay for the long term? Or in order to keep this competition the way it typically would feel, it's going to have to move?
If they want to grow it, no. If they want to do some kind of a downsized barbecue contest, possibly, But I don't see it ever going back to its heyday where there's, 350 teams in there, and, they got all the divisions slap full, people waiting to get in, and hundreds of thousands of people coming through there. I don't know. It's going to be tough, man. It's just not set up for it now.
Is there an alternate location around Memphis where you could still call it Memphis in May, accommodate 250 to 300 teams, and still have it feel like it? Or once you move it away from there, you've already taken a lot of the aesthetic out of it. As you said, it was a field prior to that, sitting on the Mississippi. You always talk about how great the view is and how much of a great competition it is for you. Mo Cason said it's his favorite competition to cook every year, and it has been for years and years. He did very well this year as well. So is there something around there that can make it feel like that, or once you move it, it's going to change the whole dynamic?
They've tried it twice. We've moved it twice. One, with the flood one year, and then the last time was a park renovation. But I don't, it just doesn't have the same feel. There's something about being right there on the banks of that river that makes that contest special. And you could call it Memphis in May and move it to some big parking lot or event space or something like that. But it's not going to have the same allure, the same attraction of getting people down there to the river and downtown. That's a lot of it too. We're right at the foot of Bill Street, and Bill Street's a happening place in Memphis. That's where tourism thrives. And you've got all the hotels, all the restaurants, all the blues music, the blues clubs and stuff like that, the great barbecue downtown. that's just what Memphis in May is. And when you go away from that,
Mm.
I mean, it's just going to be another another barbecue contest.
Give me a percentage on the following question. There is an X% chance that 2023 was the last time Memphis in May will ever be seen again.
Again, in some form, I'm going to say 75. On the river, I'm probably going to go 30%. It may be back there. I feel like they're not going to have it back down. I mean, just because I know the money they put into it down there, and it's going to take a lot to fix it back, because no matter how much you police it, or what, if you have two large festivals bringing in and out that much equipment, all the infrastructure it takes to put on those contests, of course it's going to do some damage to the landscape. So it would be an every year thing having to fix that back. And until they get a grip on how much that's going to cost and the time it takes to do it, that's the whole thing. I mean, the city's not looking at it as a moneymaker. It's not, they didn't do all those renovations to make money. They wanted to make a pretty place that drew people in year round, the families, the community had a place for something to do. They're not really concerned about these two contests they have, a music festival and a barbecue contest. I don't think that's kind of where the butting head goes. The city of Memphis doesn't run the contest.
Right.
It's Memphis in May is its own organization. So they're basically, temporary leasing that site to have that contest. So, if they owned it, it would be different, but with the way it is now, it's going to be tough.
Chris Lilly told me.
And, I'm no official either, Greg. This is just opinion, straight opinion.
Chris Lilly gave his opinion a couple of weeks ago. He said it thought it was a 50-50 shot that it would be back at Tom Lee Park. However, he also gave me 50-50 that we would ever see Memphis in May again.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So that's I hope for all the teams and all, the people that we've been vested in it in years and the memories we have down there, I hope we still get to have it in some form. I see myself still doing it.
Which is the bigger, more impressive win? 2022 Blues Hog doing the whole hog on that huge ass drum, or this year Ribdiculous ending a 20+ year dry spell, Ribs winning overall world championship? Which is the bigger win?
I'm gonna have to say Ribs, just because it's been so long.
Yeah.
I mean, there hasn't been a rib team. That was the first rib team that's won since I started cooking in Memphis in May. And I've been doing it a long time, since 06. So that's, that's something there. I mean, the hog on the drum's awesome. Those guys, they did an awesome job. The Blues Hog Gateway guys, I mean, that was unbelievable. But for a rib to finally get a win at Memphis in May, that's pretty amazing.
What keeps Ribs out of it? I mean, aside from the last winner, who I don't think anybody knows, Pyro Pig Maniacs, the only other rib winner that you could probably think of off the top of your head is going to be Mike Mills over at Apple City Barbecue. Yeah. And other than that, I doubt anybody could pick off a rib winner just off the top of their head. What keeps Ribs out of it?
I think it's just, with ribs, you've usually got about 10, 12 bones there that you're presenting to a judge. There's not as much as you could do to them, giving them all that hog, the shoulder, the loin, the ham, the belly to finish it off. Or when you're even going through a whole shoulder, there's just so more meat, so much more to talk about, so much more to dog and pony for them than just a rib. It's got to be, for a rib to win, to me, it's got to be a hell of a rib, Greg. It's just got to knock your socks off. And how often do you have a baby back rib that does that compared to this other meat,
I've often said, even I can cook a pretty kick-ass rib. So that's going to be a tough one to win, a huge contest like this. But as somebody who likes to cover it and enjoys competition, to see a 21-year dry spell finally get knocked off, it was certainly very cool to see. And we'll see if that gets backed up again next year. So let's keep on the competition talk here just for a second. I came across some things that have piqued my interest over the last week or so. So I'm asking some competition folks I know about it. And it was a pretty hot topic on some social platforms last week. Let me paint a scenario for you, Malcolm. Let's say you and I go to a barbecue contest and we're set up next to each other. We get to talking. And I tell you that all the meat that I have is pre-trimmed by some type of service. For instance, I called into so-and-so butcher shop here in Cleveland. The guy that runs the meat counter there just happens to be a competition cook, and he said, hey, do you want me to competition trim the ribs and the brisket and the chicken and the pork shoulder. So it's all ready for you to go once you show up on site. And I said, well, hell yeah, I want to do that. Do you have an issue with that?
No, man, they've been doing that for years with folks. There's butchers in Memphis that do it. They even trim your whole hogs like that.
Really?
So you can, I know guys that ordered competition trim butts from out in Kansas City and had them shipped to them. So, that's not something that's new or anything. That's been going on for a long time. And as long as the rules say that you can show up with trim meat, I don't see any problem with it. I mean, I guess it's saving them some time. I don't know if it's helping the cook. You still got to cook it. You still got to do everything to it. But I mean,
do you feel
there
like
might be a little bit of it? I mean,
do you feel like
no more advantage than it is buying a brisket?
Do you feel like pre-cook though? The pitmaster isn't evolving his skills in the proper way or anything like that, or is that up to the individual cook?
We all know it's how you finish these contests anyway. It's how you put it in that box and the flavors you put on it right at the end. That's what's winning these contests. When you look at everybody's that's been said, it's just turning into a sweeter and sweeter and sweeter contest. That's the way comp barbecue's going until everybody's on a level playing field where they're all getting the same meat at the same time when you get there, and you have to take that from start to finish. I don't think you're gonna level it much more, because if I can spend $250 on a brisket and somebody's coming to bat with the Walmart brisket, I mean, how is that fair? So, and I look at it, I mean, if I want to cook the best, I want to have the best equipment, I want to have the best meat if I'm doing it, I want to give myself the best chance to win. So it just kind of grows and grows from that.
What's the latest update on the smoke shed in the back?
Oh man, I'm getting TVs installed this end of this week. It's getting close, man. We're down to final clean and getting some sod put around and fix up some of the dirt work, and I'll be moving in. So that I don't know if I'm going to shoot any more videos until I get all my smokers down there and get it set up.
Oh,
so I might not be putting out something, I mean, just other than some short stuff, some reels, things like that. But
those are still pretty
form,
popular though, right? Like the short stuff still hitting pretty good.
Oh yeah, definitely, man. I mean, the eyes are on short stuff right now. That's where we finally had TikTok overtook our YouTube page.
From followers?
That's crazy. Yeah, from followers. Yeah.
How many followers you got on the tickers?
It's like it just hit 1.7. So
you're kidding.
I mean,
wow.
No, it's unbelievable.
Unbelievable. What about Instagram? Is that growing as well too, or TikTok just seems to have the momentum right now?
Instagram's different. It was all photos for a while, and that's what it took. But Instagram has gone to all video, it seems now. People want the short stuff on Instagram and the videos, and that's what there's still eyes there. There's still eyes on Twitter. It's just not as much, there's so many ways people can consume content now that I feel like you have to play in all of them a little bit. You have to have a presence, and that has to be kind of your focus if you're going to do it. It's hard to just pick one platform and roll.
Make sure you are following him at all the social media platforms and also on YouTube. It's the co-creator of How to BBQ Right and the pitmaster of Killer Hogs team. You find him right here the first Tuesday of every month. Malcolm, always appreciate the time. We'll see you in July.
All right, see you next month. Hey, what are we doing July 4th, man? I don't know if I'm going to be there.
Well, wait a second. Now hold the presses. Is it July 4th on Tuesday?
It is.
Oh my goodness. Well, we're going to have to game plan that off air, right?
That's because I'll probably be blowing up something with my son.
Yeah, that's probably a big night for you. All right, we'll get to it. We'll get to it off air. We'll figure out what we're going to do. Thank you, Malcolm, as always. I didn't even think about that. Holy moly. Well, next month, it's July 4th. I can rest assured. Nobody's probably contracting me for big parties for July 4th, number one. Number two, I don't do fireworks, so I'm not blowing anything up. Number two, I'm going to be right here doing a show. Hell or high water. That's right. So if we got a backfill guest, we can backfill guest. No problem. I'm not looking to encroach on anybody else's good time. But at 9 o'clock at night, people should be getting ready, settle in for bed. No dangerous stuff like fireworks. Blow your hand off doing that nonsense. Come here to the show. Be safe. Enjoy some live fire talk. We'll recount what we had eating earlier in the day, in the evening. Why do we love ceramic cookers? I could give you a laundry list, but how about this? We love that they're fuel efficient, number one. We love that they can achieve low and slow temperatures. Also, we love that you can really spool them up for the high heat grilling of steaks and other thin cuts. But what's missing in this day of every common ceramic cook? The real ability to do true two-zone cooking. Two-zone cooking is very important to both professional and backyard cooks alike. It's the best way to manage a fire and cook with confidence. However, getting a two-zone fire in a round ceramic cooker is not very realistic. Why? Because it's round. Well, enter Primo Grill and the game-changing oval design. The shape gives you the ability to execute that two-zone setup that you desire. It also gives you the other ceramic grill benefits as well. Really, when you break it down, there's more than 60 different ways to configure the Primo cooker, so you're only limited by your culinary imagination. They have all the accessories that you want as well, because as cooker owners, initially we like the cooker, but then it's like, how many accessories you got? I need all the accessories. Give me accessories. Well, they got them. They have Primo Grill rotisserie accessory, the Primo Grill pizza accessory. What did I see just on the social medias a little bit earlier? Remember that freestanding piece of crap that I had out in the backyard for a while, that art flame? Well, we got rid of that boat anchor. However, if you liked the style, right, you liked getting a fire underneath, a piece of steel like the disc, you had that grill in the center portion, then you could flat top on the outside of it. They came with the disc. I don't know exactly what it's called. I got to reach out to Nick Bauer and see what the deal is. I have some marketing names I would like to talk to him about. They haven't officially named it yet, but I'm not going to mention it here. Go to primogrill.com and find a dealer near you. Only sold through dealers. And check out the oval that's best for you. Buy it and start looking at all the videos. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram. Why not? primogrill.com. We're back with Mike Lang right after this. Stick around. Be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
And we thank Malcom Reed for joining us last segment. HowToBBQRight.com, his website. And subscribe to him on YouTube.com/@HowToBBQRight, I would imagine. The segment brought to you by Fireboard. Monitor up to 6 different temperatures simultaneously. Connect to Wi-Fi for cloud-based monitoring, or connect via Bluetooth. If you have Alexa or the Google Assistant in your home, Fireboard, you're in luck, because Fireboard is fully integrated with both. You can find out more by visiting fireboard.com or call 816-945-2232. And might I suggest adding the Fireboard Spark to your arsenal? I'm reaching for it more and more. And at $150, it's giving you extra value because it's also a one-channel Fireboard. So not only is it instant read and it's very accurate and fast, if you have the probe, you can turn it into a one-channel Fireboard if you're doing a roast or pork butt or whatever. Fireboard.com. Hey, my next guest tonight is a regular on this show. If you follow him on social media or visit his website, you're typically delighted at his recipe creation, his photography and video shooting skills, brand-wise, most associated with the industry leader, Weber. We race to the hotline and welcome back Mike Lang from Another Pint Please. Mike,
hey,
we have
Greg.
to start with YouTube's poll question of the week, if you don't mind, and I'm asking everybody this. Would you make a 50-50 mix of wood pellets and wood chips to increase the smoke flavor of your pellet cooker?
You know, I'm always about experimentation, but I would not do that because I'm sure I would have a disaster.
63% of the YouTube voting public is also agreeing with you. They are not going to make... I'm sorry, they are not... Oh, what the fuck? Hold on, Mike. This is terribly embarrassing. I had a terrible issue where all of my sound drops got relegated to the original sound output, and then I had to go back and do it. They would not.
Andrew, you are not the father.
They would not also attempt a mix of wood chips and wood pellets. What's your concern, aside from just being a disaster? What's the engineerical concern? That's not a word.
Well, I think Malcolm actually hit. You're working outside of the manufacturer's recommendation, so Lord only knows what you're going to have happen. I mean, if you're a novice pellet user anyways, you could have trouble just with pellets. Add in something flammable as wood chunks. I just don't think it's a good idea. But I get the premise of bringing wood into the cook, but I just don't think that's the way to do it.
Well, I think if you were looking for a wood chip fired cooker, those dreams have been dashed, unfortunately, because while there was one coming to market, it has since been walked back over the last 2 or 3 months. So if you had put in a pre-order for that Ripped Grill, RIPT, those pre-orders have been refunded, or deposits have been refunded. That grill's not going to happen. And I think that was the only thing that was even remotely close to it was 100% close because it was a wood chip driven grill, but there's nothing else on the market that is remotely close to a wood chip grill at this point. So you're going to have to wait and see if anybody else decides to do that. But nonsense, Mike. Let's talk about some real stuff. The last time you were on, mid-February, I believe it was, we were talking about the release of the new Weber griddle, freestanding griddle. And there was a race between Weber and Traeger to release theirs one day before the other. It's always a race between Weber and Traeger for whatever reason. And now that you've had, let's call it 4 months of experimentation, maybe even longer than that before it was actually revealed. Maybe you were given an advance copy of that grill a few months before that. In your time having it, has it exceeded expectation?
Oh my gosh, yes. In fact, I like it so much I almost feel bad about it.
Why?
It's like griller's guilt. Talking about live fire cooking, and I'm like, I'm going to go fire up that griddle powered by propane.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I think part of it is for those of us that have been doing this for a long time, it's something different. And it's always fun to gravitate towards a way of doing things we've always done. But yeah, I got to admit, I feel a little bit guilty about how much I enjoy it.
I remember the first time I got my hands on a pellet cooker after I had routinely, this is a long time ago now, after I had routinely talked shit on pellet cookers in every form and fashion. And then Grilla sent me one in secret, said, don't talk about it on the show. We just want you to do some R&D, report back every few weeks as you use it. What do you like? What do you don't like? What would you like to see added? Well, Mike, I fell in love with this pellet cooker. And what was I going to do? Remain a charlatan on my show and talk shit? I couldn't do it. So I finally had to reveal my new love of pellet cookers and how all this time I was talking out of school, and here I was, a huge fan. I remain a huge fan. And as to your point of something new, you find yourself going to it, I am not going to lie. You've seen the smash burger craze for how long has it been? A year or two that it's been really hot? Maybe 3 years, I think. I just started doing smash burgering in my house because my oven has a flat top griddle, like a little piece of shit thing in the middle there. But it works. I have to tell you, I love it. I'm late to the game, Mike, but I love it. They're tasty. They're Maillarded all over the place. Even the kids like it. And this is from a guy who has professed love, undying, passionate love for Bubba Burger, which everybody laughs at me for, but I love that. But if given the choice right now, if you put a gun to my head, Bubba Burger or Smash Burger, I'm Smash Burger guy right now, and they're fun to cook.
Oh, yeah. I'm team Smash Burger for sure. I've always had a funny relationship with hamburgers anyways. I kind of blame my dad for it growing up. That would make, the grilled hamburger that turns into a meatball sort of thing. So I've always kind of,
the guy that we see on social media?
Yes.
He seems like an
expert. Time dad. He is, but I had the early days when he was working hard for the family. The burgers were not so good. Steaks on Sunday are fantastic. And I was lucky too. The griddle first experience for me was back in the fall of 2022 up at Weber headquarters, working with the product team, marketing team, and training teams, doing videos for not only the standalone griddles, but also the drop-in griddles. And for the versatility of having a gas grill, be able to drop a griddle into it all of a sudden. I've got a Genesis, right? There's a drop-in griddle in it all the time because I happen to use it so much.
What could be better with the Weber griddle?
I would say all griddles in general, the biggest thing is the mess they can make. And that's not brand agnostic. I mean, it's funny. I harken back. I may have mentioned it before with you. You know, I worked at Friendly's as a grill cook when I was the summer after high school for like 3 months. And the biggest thing I now as an adult is the smell of dinner from the restaurant coming home. And it's because you're working that flat top and there's no different at home. You know, I've got to take care that the deck is not stained with grease or the concrete's not, or more importantly, I'm not ruining clothes basis, which is pretty easy to do. So if there's a way to self-contain that, I think we'd all be better off, but it's just the nature of the beast. And frankly, when it comes down to it, I still love it. Many years later, after my first foray on a restaurant flat top.
It seems the biggest size for most residential units is 36, like the standard biggest size. Would bigger be better? Would you be happier with a 48 or a 64 or anything like that?
No, I mean, funny enough, I've got the 28 and I think it's quite manageable. You know, even cooking for, for 5 people, bigger, you can certainly do more if you're going to entertain more, have a bigger family, more friends on a regular basis. But I find the 28 really quite manageable. And on the Weber one, the one thing I like about it from a photography video standpoint is the cover comes off. So I get better light coming across for those smash burgers. With the larger size, the cover is built into it on a swivel. And I'm always like, I don't like that as much for the light, which is a totally, a Mike Lang problem and not everybody else.
Camera eats first, right, pal?
The camera always eats first.
Simply Recipes is a website you've been contributing stuff to. You have anything working currently over there?
Yeah, they've got a digital grill issue coming up in June. And, it's funny. You think Simply is part of the larger Dot-Dash Meredith umbrella, things like Serious Eats and Food and Wine, Liquor.com. And I find it is a great resource, even for me, even to contribute to it, but for looking for things that are out of the box that you can either put on the grill that aren't meant for it, or even some good grilling ideas. I'm thrilled I can contribute as a voice for grilling and getting people outside to fire up their gas grill or their charcoal grill. So definitely has some new things coming up for that, including some videos. But for the average cooker, even on a weeknight looking for an idea, I always it's a great resource.
Mike Lang joining us here on the show, anotherpintplease.com, his website. Like over the years of our online relationship, although we have met in person, which is, few and far between with most folks, it's like I've almost lived at your house here over the last 12 years or 13 years that I've known you. And we were exchanging some notes back and forth, and you had mentioned that soon enough, the Lang house or Lang HQ is going up for sale, and you're going to be moving away from the deck that most people probably are familiar with all of your work that you're either shooting for the website or with Weber and all that. A famed live fire deck, an iconic live fire deck, if I say so, especially amongst us nerds. So where are you going, and is there going to be a 10-tiered deck wherever you're going?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I always say every story comes to an end, but with that end is a new beginning. I have a wonderful girlfriend, and I'm moving in with her and her kids. And part of the excitement of that is transferring what I've done here to a brand new grilling studio at her place. So we're converting a 1,000 square foot plus pole barn into a full grill studio with a kitchen, a commercial kitchen, and most importantly, space for the 40-some grills that I've got right now. I think you're right. I mean, I've lived in this house and really built 3/4 of it myself, including 3 phases of the deck, which is about 1,000 square feet by itself. But it's just everything gradual course. And it is funny because the deck has been like, when the Weber Summit Kamado was first rolled out, that was where all that was filmed, and really a lot of Weber social and videos for the last decade have been there. But I also think people are probably tired of seeing it. And I know I am, so I'm excited for this new chapter in my life. And importantly, just having the space and the freedom to do all the creation things that I'm so lucky to be able to do in a new environment and make it even better and just throw myself into it 1,000% more.
I don't know a lot of folks that are doing it, but it does seem to be something that is starting to bubble up, maybe not as a trend, but some things that something that people are doing that are in this space and that are content creators. So you're going to be converting a pole barn into this evergreen space. Malcom Reed is in the process of building his pit room. Sounds like it's almost on the finishing side of the race at this point. Jeff Rice over at Dead Broke Barbecue did a huge build out. I don't know if he built something from scratch or if he's converted a garage into something, but now he has this evergreen space. And of course, Maddie and Kiki up in Canada have a grill barn or, grill studio, whatever the hell they call it. The thing that holds true to all of these ideas is you're all content creators, all in the live fire space. And I think most everybody is living in an area where there are seasons. And unfortunately, one of those seasons is late fall and then all of winter, which you've proven time and time again. You're a real man. You're going to go outside, whether there's 70-degree days or it's negative 70 degrees, and you're going to cook. But it would certainly be nice to have a space that is a little bit more climate controlled and out of those elements for you to at least keep control of things as you're making recipes or testing or shooting content. As somebody that's going to be making this thing basically from scratch, you have the structure. You're putting in all of these items. If somebody is also thinking about doing it, what are the most important things that you think the content creator should keep in mind building out a space?
Yeah, I think part of it is, number one, what do you actually want to use it for? Is it simply a backdrop for, doing recipe videos or tutorials or stories or reels? You're actually looking for a space for something larger to do. And I'm trying to cram all that into one space. But I think really getting a really good idea on what that end use is going to be, and then being very clear on what your visual plan is to make that space appealing and happening. And I think we touched on part of that too, is making it evergreen. One of the things is if you're creating content for brands or for a company, is to make sure it can speak to anybody no matter where, and not to necessarily pigeonhole you as saying, okay, that person's in Florida, or they're in the mountains in Colorado, but to a space that is truly evergreen for year round and for no matter where you are in not only this country, but frankly in the world.
Mm-hmm. Mike Lang joining us here on the show. And last September, we did a little thing called Grillfest, and it appears that the same key players might be making a reappearance here in a few months. Which is only, 3 months of September. So right around maybe 3 months to the day even. I think it was mid-September of this year, maybe towards the end, 24th or something like that. There'll be a 2023 Grillfest. You're going to be on board?
I'm on board and confirmed, yeah. I'm excited.
Signed, sealed, and delivered. Have you already been talking about menu items, or you do the same thing as last year? What's the thought?
I've been thinking about it, but nothing concrete. I'm not sure yet. Part of it also is what actual products that they want to present from Weber. So that kind of dictates what the end result's going to be, but I'm sure I'll think of something. The biggest question for me is, will we have time for a cigar afterwards?
Well, I can guarantee there will be Brothers of the Leaf sharing, no doubt. And I have some great new ones to introduce you to. So don't worry about that. We'll make sure that you're set right as you go back to Cincinnati. A few other things here before we wrap up tonight. I know you're not a competitive cook, but one of the hot topics on the show has been pre-trimmed meat being delivered to a team instead of the team's lead knife person or trimmer doing it themselves. Do you have a problem with somebody having pre-trimmed meat and competing?
Long as you're following the rules, I don't see why it's a problem. I've listened to your comment about that, and there's always there's that parallel. The purists always say, make it from scratch. If I'm going to make a salad, I should make a vinaigrette from scratch. It's pretty easy. At the minimum, it's like 3 or 4 ingredients. But sometimes if time and necessity, there's nothing wrong with buying something pre-made, or in this case, pre-trimmed. But if it follows the rules and it helps things out for a team in another way, then, more power to them.
July 4th, you won't be on Tuesday, or maybe you will be back in a month from now on, July 4th. Didn't understand where July 4th was falling on the calendar. Your go-to menu items.
Oh, gosh. It's sadly on July 4th, I'm usually working the day job. I've not given it up yet, which is horrible. I get no sleep that night. But
it's probably very busy.
and yeah, it's usually a nightmare. But anyways, But when I'm actually not working, for me, something simple like pulled pork. It's a day I want to spend more time with family and friends. And that's just the best barbecue. It's forgiving. It's easy. It's always a crowd pleaser. And to me, that's just what I like to do.
Mike Lang has created Another Pint Please. There's great recipes, great photographs. Make sure you're also following him socially. And you can see him here on the show as well. Mike, always appreciate the time. And we will see you again soon.
Thanks so much, Greg. Take care.
It's Mike Lang right there. Another Pint Please. He's also pretty active on Instagram as well. Another Pint Please there. So go to the website and you can link to his socials from there. Make sure you're following him correctly. And great stuff as always. He's a big griddle guy. Big Weber griddle guy, of course. Not shocked there. But he's going to the griddle more and more. That's kind of what I'm wondering as I'm seeing all of these new griddles being brought to market by various manufacturers, especially to the ones that are just coming out now. I would say a little late to the game, but the demand still seems to be there. The varying price points still seem to be there. I believe at some point in the next 3 or 4 years, some of them will weed themselves out and will be left with probably that low to mid-tier. So like $300 to $600 or $700. The top line ones will probably weed themselves out, in my opinion. But we'll see how it goes. All right, we'll be back and wrap this first hour. Your emails are welcome. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. And we'll be back right after this. Stick around.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
And we thank Mike Lang for joining us last segment. AnotherPintPlease.com, his website. Smokin' Joe's Pit Barbecue. Is that a baby white snake on Greg's neck? No! Joe, do I strike you as a man that would be okay with a baby white snake? Or any animal on me? No, never. For those that are wondering, it's been here for years, 2 years now. Maybe not 2 years. I have this in-ear monitor, which allows me to hear the guests, all that stuff, but then it hides for aesthetics on the camera. This would be the left ear, which is in this case. But, of course, this is also the ear that has given me problems where I had that deadly ear disease that was going to kill me within 25 years. It's going to grow through my face, paralyze this portion of my face, then grow into my brain and eliminate me. But we got that worked out. However, the last time they went in to fix it, they had to increase the opening in my ear to have like a straight shot into the eardrum in order to have this thing that kept reoccurring not reoccur. Well, the bad news is this. These are custom molded. So now that I have a much bigger ear opening on this side, the earpiece doesn't fit into my ear. It sinks in. So this should be powering another ear, but it doesn't fit in my ear anymore. And now this ear hurts on the inside, so I don't want to get a new mold made. First world problems, Joe, is what I'm saying, right? Of course. I'm not really complaining. So if you would much rather think that it's a baby white snake on my neck, yes, that's exactly what it is. Ready to strike at any malfeasant or ne'er-do-well that dares step foot into this studio. I won't have it. I have a snake here ready to jump and infect you with electricity. Thank you for writing in, Joe. There was something else you had in, too. Yeah, I don't understand this. You wrote this a while ago. Can you bring back the red do-rag? I don't even know what that means. Explain yourself on the break as we close the first hour. while you're at it, refresh libations. And we'll point to the second hour. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central show right here on the Barbecue Central Network. Stick around. Be right back.
This is Dino Dan from Cypress, California, and you're watching the Barbecue Central show.
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me!
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle. Charbono! It's all about the charbono, dude!
Succulent fish. What?
He ate 54 wieners.
But listen, Lavernius, shake your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
Welcome to the second hour. It's the Barbecue Central show where we talk about Barbecue Central show and barbecue and grilling related items of only the highest level of importance. If you've missed the first hour, where did you go? Or where were you? You missed a great first hour. You missed Malcom Reed. You missed Mike Lang from Another Pint Please. But don't get all bent out of shape. We're recording an audible version. It's called a podcast, and the first hour will be released here on Wednesday. The second hour, which is happening right now, will be released on Thursday, and I'll tell you about Friday here in just 1 second. Still to come on the show this evening, Sam, the cooking guy, in about 13 minutes from now. And closing out the show, Christy Vanover from Girls Can Grill. The Barbecue Central show being brought to you from
Palm City, USA. Cleveland.
And we say good evening to those of you watching tonight through one of the video streaming platforms, Facebook.com/BBQ Central Show or Twitch.tv/BBQ Central Show. You can also watch on YouTube.com/@BBQ Central Show if you'd rather take it in there. And, of course, we are asking you a poll question of the week. Would you make a 50-50 mix of wood pellets and wood chips to increase smoke flavor in your pellet cooker? And currently 65% of you now are saying, no, I would not do that. And I'm going to agree with those no or naysayers. Not somebody that's going to take a chance on that. As I had mentioned in the first hour, I believe there is a 99% chance that the combo of pellets and wood chips would make it halfway through the auger tube and then jam up and break it. And then I'm screwed. So I'm not going to do it. But if you are daring or you're just about ready to get rid of one of those pellet cookers, you should give it a try. Malcolm said he's going to bust one of his old timers out. Give it a try. So why not see what works? But again, this isn't something I'm demanding you do. This isn't something I am recommending you do. The manufacturer's recommendation is you don't do that because it's built for pellets only, so adding another fuel into the mix, who knows what can happen. But again, if you are a fan of YouTube and you go to Adrenaline Barbecue, one of those first few new videos is the guy Greg, great name, by the way, is telling you all about his experiment of running a 50-50 mix of wood chips and wood pellets in his Lone Star cooker. So however you want to do that or however you want to take a look at it. But it's not what it's not what I'm recommending. Smokin' Joe is following up from this do-rag comment, and he said, the interview you did with Daniel Vaughn 11 years ago, you were wearing a do-rag. I was? Look at me being fashionable. Well, look at this. Smokin' Joe has been hard at work because he sent a screen grab. Look at this guy. 11 years ago. I was 37 years old. I mean, can we just appreciate this picture for, like, how bad it is? Holy moly. Tasty Licks BBQ was a former longtime sponsor of the show. As soon as Fred went out of that side of the business, because he was also a music supply company, but he was also real big into barbecue. Fred Bernardo, by the way, Fred, shout out. Philly guy. So that do-rag is terrible, number one. You can see that the microphone, much like the microphone here, however, that was version number 1 of that microphone. I have version number 2 of the microphone because I sold that one. I got a different one. I went through 2 different ones, actually, and then I went back to this Electra Voice. So the do-rag's bad. That was the original microphone. And then that backdrop is utterly horrible. That's a vinyl banner in back of me. You can see bottom left that there's like kids' socks on the carpet. There's glare coming off of the lighting that I had. But, you know, this was early years of the show. Joe, thank you for stalking me on the internet, as usual. There was a time when I was wearing do-rags because barbecue teams... So there were 2 things going on many, many years ago, a decade or more. Teams were sending me do-rags to wear on the show because there was an in-person guy, Billy Do-Rag Carroll, made an in-person visit when I lived in Euclid and gave me a bunch of do-rags, and I started wearing them on the show. Bad look. And then other teams were like, oh, he's wearing a do-rag, so we'll send him a do-rag. So I was wearing successive do-rags. And then also teams were sending me shirts, and I would take a picture right before the show started with the back of the shirt, and then would tag those respective competition teams. That's how I've had my wardrobe for like the last 15 years, is outfitted by barbecue teams, which I love. Well, looky here. I think this is the 2nd week in a row. Maddie and Steve are watching the show. Hey-o! Hope you're enjoying the show, kids. And Steve, hope you turned into the first hour and saw me speaking to my very most special best friend, Malcom Reed. You had no idea you were fine-footing it around with such a live-fire celebrity as me. Coming up on the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less this coming Friday, episode 285, taking you back to June 7th, 2011, when I had Amy Mills on the show for the very first time. And as luck would not have it, 2011 is also the last time I've had Amy Mills on the show. If you aren't familiar with Amy and her barbecue journey, this is a great best moments show for you to take in. Now, maybe you have seen her on some of the TV shows over the last handful of years, wondered how she earned the right to get there. Well, this will be a best moment show you will want to check out. And in my defense, as I lament the fact that I have had Amy only on the show one time, 12 years ago. 12 years ago. I've been doing this show a long-ass time now. 2008, of February 2008 is when we started the live show. So that was 3 years after I started the live show, which has been 12 years since I've had Amy on. Wow. In my defense, I have reached out to Amy many times over the past few years. We just haven't been able to connect, as she has a number of other business and financial interests that she is responsible for. But I'm confident that one day soon we will have her on the show again. So make sure you're subscribed to the show podcast feed. That way you're able to get the Best Moments show every Friday. You can also get any past Barbecue Central shows that you might have missed as well during the course of the week for whatever reason. And don't forget, if you want to hear a past guest or segment that might be lost in the archives, email John and let him know what you would like to hear, Jon at thebbqcentralshow.com, and let him know what you would like to hear. We have a comment coming in from the letter X, the numerals 8 and 6, and then the letters B, S, and D. Good evening. Oh, wait. What? Yeah, that's right. No, that's not it. What did you think? Here we go. My myth raised my waif. I mean, can we just use first and last names? I understand the folks on Twitch are a little more nerdy than the rest of them. Thoughts on Franklin barbecue? My thoughts are with you. I can't help you on that. I've never been there. I hear it's delightful. Not only do I hear it's delightful, but routinely, as in every day that it's open, people wait in line for 4 or 5 hours. What do I recommend alternatively than waiting in line? And no offense to Aaron, who I love. Drive out to El Paso and check out Smokin' Joe's Pit barbecue food trailer. How about that? I have no idea on the map where Austin and El Paso are in relation to each other. Texas is a very big state. To me, it could be like 2 hours, or maybe it's like 12 hours. I don't know. But if it's within 4 hours, I would drive out to El Paso and check out Smokin' Joe's Pit Barbecue. In fact, Daniel Vaughn from Texas Monthly was there earlier. Was it over the weekend, Joe? I think. I don't know nothing from nothing. We'll ask Daniel Vaughn in 2 weeks' time when he's on the show. We might be seeing a best of the new for Joe. My opinion only. I haven't talked to anyone. But I think Joe's doing something very special in El Paso, much like Ernest Cervantes is doing in Seguin when he started making his roll-up. I think our pal Smokin' Joe is following a similar trajectory, and I'm very happy that we are documenting what could be a historical barbecue career in El Paso. So, Franklin Barbecue, if you want to wait, great. I don't wait. So if you're within a drive to El Paso that makes sense for you, try out that too. Okay, my myth race wayfu. I don't even know what that means. First names only, or I'm never reading your comments again. How about that? God, I had so much stuff to get to. I had a potted meat take to get to. I can't get to it because you're giving me too much content to react to. I even have an email from Yitzy in New Jersey for like the last 3 weeks, and I can't even get to that. But what I can get to is our pal Sam, the cooking guy, right after this. Stick around.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
Hey, this portion of the show being brought to you by Pit Barrel Cooker, the most unbelievable outdoor cooking device on the planet, currently available in 3 sizes and a host of accessories. Doesn't matter if you're a beginner or professional, it's a cooker you want to add to the arsenal, no matter. Visit pitbarrelcooker.com and tell them the Barbecue Central Show sent you. Smokin' Joe's Pit Barbecue weighing in. We're 10 hours west of Austin. That seems far. So now it's on you. Person was asking about Franklin. Do you want to drive? I don't even know where you might even be in relation. You're probably not even in Austin or the surrounding area. But know this. Geographically, here's your lesson for the day. If you're in Austin, it's 10 hours west till El Paso if you want to go see Smokin' Joe's Pit Barbecue. Okay? That's all you need to know. My next guest is a YouTube cooking sensation, which he loves when I say that every month. There are 3.53 million subscribers as of June 1st. And you see him here on the first Tuesday of every month in the second hour leading off. My pal, not yours, Sam the cooking guy. Sam,
I could be there. Well, I could be there, pal.
No, you're my pal.
Doug Scheiding listens, and I consider myself his pal.
Look, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you
exclusively
who you can be pals with, but you're not going to be pals with Doug. That's it.
In
We're done.
effect, you just did. You're telling people I'm not their pal, and I can't be their pal.
My pal, not
what you're
yours.
saying.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, I'm just saying I
Semantics.
could be their pal. Well, Malcolm, I think I'd like to be
forget
pals with Malcolm.
You don't even like Malcolm.
I do like Malcolm. I
You
was
said
rooting for
you said
him.
like 2 months ago
By the-
you didn't like him.
But that's such BS. By the way, all you dickheads, nobody wanted to put Malcolm through to getting into the Hall of Fame. Me here in San Diego, I was rooting for the guy.
Who are these dickheads that you're calling out? Do you even know?
You and your boys, your homies.
What? What are you talking?
You and your embedded correspondence with your little pics.
I think somebody did put. Somebody did say they would like to see Malcolm Reed go through. By the way, one of those guys did.
I don't know who that was.
And again, it
All
doesn't
I
matter
know
what
is-
we want. It matters how the voters vote.
Of course, I'm
Yes.
just saying I can be friends with other people besides you.
I don't know why we circled back to that. I was pretty happy being able to say who can be friends with you and who can't.
Listen, Greg, you know, your listeners may remember I have a degree in French literature, so let's just leave it at that. Shall we? That wasn't too inside, was it?
Wow. I can only imagine which first person in the instant chat is going to be able to pull that one. But wow, free prize for you get one of Sam's books if you can pull that one off.
You always
I'm
give away my
going
shit.
to give away a book and 10 knives. Look, YouTube poll question of the week, if we can possibly get back on track, and I doubt it.
We're never
Would you
on track, by
make
the way.
a 50-50 mix? You have a pellet cooker. Would you make a 50-50 mix of wood pellets and wood chips to increase the smoke flavor of your pellet cooker?
No.
Nope.
I find there's enough smoke. Now, look, I'm not a good old boy, right? I don't have an offset. I didn't make some smoker out of a drum and duct tape and some wire and an anchor from a ship in the 1800s. I like the smoke that comes off it. So that's the first part. My wife wouldn't want anything with any more smoke. She's runs smoke to the leaner smoke side.
Yep.
But the other thing is, I find it hard to believe that the pellets and the chips would burn at the same time. I feel like a chip would go faster, not being compressed. Hey, what do I know? I grew up in a cult.
Malcolm and I talked about it last hour. We were both in agreement with, by the way, the majority of the YouTube voting public, which is 68% saying no, they are not going to do that. It's widely going against and railing against what the manufacturer is suggesting, which is only wood pellets. Yeah. And some manufacturers say only their wood pellets, but that's highly illegal, but we won't get into that.
Yeah.
And we said, hey, like you mentioned, some of us are within the subculture. We like a heavier smoke profile, or we've run a stick burner. Now, you can run a stick burner and still get a lighter smoke profile depending on the wood that you're going to use. But by and large, it's long been known that the pellet cooker is providing a much lighter smoke profile than you're going to get on other styles of cookers, right? And I think that's what the general public wants. I'm getting off of my throne. I'm going out to the masses now and assimilating with them just for a moment, trying to act like them. They like to say a light smoke or I used wood, but they don't really want the heavy profile, and that's what the pellet cooker is giving you.
Yeah. You're aiming for the middle of the room, right? It's kind of where I go with my food. I'm not super fancy French. I'm not super organic and vegan. I go where most of the people go. An expression I learned years ago, there's more fat in the middle. And that's certainly true of most people's bodies, the earth and orange, that kind of thing. I want to go where more people are going to be accepting of what I'm doing. And I think the pellet smoke that comes off is just fine. If you want a heavier level of smoke, then use hickory or mesquite. I don't use those pellets because Kelly's not crazy about them. And I find I get enough with, I generally reach for pecan. That's kind of my go-to. I'll tell you what I did do once. So go ahead.
No, I was going to switch to something else. So finish your thought.
Well, while we're on pellets, here's what I did. I had a collaboration with my cousin that owns a brewery here in San Diego called AleSmith. It's a fantastic beer. Well, they got a huge variety of them. And the beer we did was a Japanese rice lager. And the hops that he used for this collab beer were pellets. And I'd never seen hops in the shape of pellets before. And so while we're at the brewery mixing this concoction and he's showing me and we're taking pictures, dumping the pellets in and stuff like that, I looked at the pellets and I said, they look just like, and the light bulb went off and I went, holy shit, I need a bag of those. And I took the bag home and I went like 50-50. First I went like 25-75, 25% hop pellets in my smoker. And it gave kind of a little bit of a hint. I gave more. The thing is, they burn faster than the proper wood pellets, which made me think that the wood chips are going to burn faster. Anyway, I just gave somebody a great idea out there. The next time you're at a competition, throw a couple handfuls of the hop pellets in, and if you win, I just want a little credit. I just want, when you're getting your big ass trophy with a big fat pig on top of it in gold or bronze, I want you to just shout out Sam, the cooking guy. Hey, Sam, thanks for the idea. I'd like to thank all my boys on the team here and men and women on my team here, and it's been great. But thank you, Sam. That's all I need.
Sam, watching this evening is none other than the expert drink guesser of Sam and Max. Madison Rempe is watching tonight through
Madison
Facebook.
Rempe.
You can believe. Can you believe that?
I got a high Sam out of that. Yeah,
that's right. I'm going to tell you why you are better than me when it comes to cooking, Sam, because on your most recent video, the chicken caprese sandwich, which looked great. You did something I never would have thought of doing ever. As you start this cooking process, before you put the sando in the pan, you put down some shredded mozzarella and some baby sliced tomatoes. Then you put the sandwich down so the cheese and the tomatoes adhere to the outside of the sandwich.
Was that not freaking
genius?
beautiful?
This is what separates you from me and the rest of the malfeasance in the cooking world.
Well, I'll tell you something. You know, you could put anything. So for the people that can't get that vision in their head, imagine you're making a grilled cheese. You butter the outside and you put it down on your nonstick pan or your flat top, whatever. I put some cheese, scattered some cheese first before the sandwich went down, and then little slices of thin slices of cherry tomatoes and a few basil leaves.
Yeah, basil.
But it could be almost anything. It could be little thin slices of a Holland pepper. It could be, I don't know. I was going to say radish. Radish would be stupid, but those little baby cupping pepperonis would be uneffing believable in that. Shit, why didn't I do that? I'm going to do that now. It would change the grilled cheese world forever. It was really good. It was a great sandwich. Messy AF, but so delicious.
Yeah. But it's just so to me, that's what separates somebody that's doing what you do and then the rest of us watchers. You're going to go into a grocery store. Like, I need a list. I can't walk down an aisle and think, these are going to go well with this and blah, blah, blah. And I could probably add a little bit of whatnot. I need the list, and then I can execute the recipe, and then I can make my own adjustments after that whole process happens. But you can just make it happen.
I'll tell you this. I have an assistant that's there when we shoot. She does all the dishes. You know, I used to do everything myself. We'd finish the shoot. The boys would put away the cameras. They'd leave, and then I'd be there for another hour and a half cleaning. I finally got smart. I have an assistant. So she's doing dishes inside while we're shooting outside. If I can say, hey, Jill, can you, I need the whatever, the pan or the lemon squeeze thing, whatever. She'll bring it out to me. She's great. She would shop for me, but I'm so, I don't want to say it's that I'm anal, but my ideas come in the aisle at the supermarket. Like, let's say I know I'm going to make a grilled cheese sandwich. I could say, go get this loaf of bread, but when I'm at the supermarket, I'll get the loaf of bread. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I've never used this. I want that. So I can't give up that one function, that one task, which honestly, I love. I love going to the grocery store, supermarket, especially love supermarkets in other countries. They're fascinating to me. They really are. But I like shopping. I could never use one of those services that you just send your order and they pick up all the crap and bring.
Instacart? Never.
Yeah.
Sam, it's not a competition. But
Which
also,
means it's a competition
but
when you say
also
that.
watching tonight is the oldest, Bobby Rempe, and her boyfriend, Quentin Posey.
Jeez.
D2 football sensation, Quentin Posey.
Does this happen very often? Or
I don't know why.
They've
Never
night?
taken an interest, other than being judges on Barbecue Central shows American Idol.
I know
they
that.
have never taken interest in this show, ever.
Maybe they're secretly playing Sam the Cooking Guy on the Barbecue Central show drinking game.
Oh.
And whenever I say a certain word, they got to take a shot. I wonder what that word is.
I don't know.
Could
I
it
know.
be shit?
Who do we like better, Sam? Do we like Bobby or Maddie better?
Oh, come on. Your wife.
Yes. Correct.
What am I getting? Pick
That's
one of your
right.
kids? For
I don't
God's
know.
sake.
I don't know what kind of mood
God's
you're in
sakes,
here
man.
tonight. Why not? Who do
Not
we
in a
like
mood
better?
to-
Who do we like better?
Yeah.
Bobby's boyfriend, Quentin, Division II.
Yes. Go ahead.
Defensive back all-star in the Peace
Yes.
Act. Or do
Yes.
we like Army reservist Steve Susnick from Willoughby, Ohio, Kent State student as well?
I got to go with Steve.
Yes, of
He's
course.
He's an
Right.
Army reservist.
Come on,
Please.
Quentin. You're on thin ice, pal. You might be out of here.
Here's the difference. Quentin is all about himself on that field.
Yes.
Maybe his team, but Steve is heading into a world that he's out there for all of us.
He's selfless.
Thank you for your almost service, Steve.
That's right. Well, I mean, he drills.
I mean, he does it.
He could be called up at any second.
He does weekend stuff now, right? Getting prepared for it.
Yes.
How old
One
is-
weekend a
how
month,
old are
2
these
weekends a
boys?
year. It's
How
got to
old
be
is he?
20, right?
I don't know. He's
Sure.
your daughter's boyfriend.
Yes, but I only try to know as much as I need to know. I have to remain distant because I either like them until I don't, and then I might have to kill both of them at some point.
Don't.
But that's not up to me. That's up to
There's
them.
no killing. There's no killing. Well,
Oh,
that's
of
true.
course. There's
the
always
ball is in
opportunity.
their court.
Yes, there's
The ball
always
is
opportunity for
definitely
killing.
in their court.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to ask you a question about
All right.
something. My Instagram. At times, I'm so mad that it's nothing but food. It is
Yes.
nothing but food.
As it should be.
I feel like I think about something and it shows up.
Yes.
There's a lot of barbecue. There's a lot of smoking. There's a lot of grilling. There's a lot of meat and cutting and this and that. And I'm sick and fucking tired of those fast things that are just audio clips, you know? The guys that they take a bite of something, they enhance the sound of the crunch about 6,000%. And they go, so good. And then the 18 quick cuts making the thing, right? I'm so fucking sick of those.
Wow.
But I came across a grill the other day that I believe is from my homeland. I think it's from my homeland.
America?
I've never seen it. My previous home. I was there this weekend, actually. Black Hearth Grills. And by the way, I have no connection and there's no pimping. I just want to know if you know anything about them. And I'm embarrassed to say this, but my attraction to it is almost mostly materialistic. They're beautiful.
Black Hearth Grills?
Hearth, I think. Hearth. They make one that looks like 6 feet wide. I think it's a combo gas smoker thing, but it is low profile and freaking beautiful. You know, I have a Caliber gas grill that has that low profile lid that folds all the way down. Theirs also looks I just want to know what you know about it, because
is it Black Earth Grills?
You're the most wait.
Is it Black Earth?
Maybe. What did I say?
Black Hearth?
I think I said Black Hearth. Yeah. Black Earth, Black Hearth. It's
is
probably that's the thing. Look at that.
Look at that. Wow.
If that doesn't get you horny, I can't imagine what will.
That's right. I'm ready to go, Sam. Here we Yeah,
but doesn't the lid looks low profile, right?
Yeah. Wow.
I think.
Yeah,
Go
it's
back.
even got 2 different stands.
Yeah.
Right? Look at that. And this is
But I think it's I think
Black Earth. Yeah.
Black Earth. Sorry, Black Earth.
Hybrid grill.
There you go. So it's
the
smokes
hybrid's
and it does
innovation patented technology combines the benefits of both traditional propane grilling and the wood smoker under one hood. How about that?
There you go. Not
Temperature
pellet,
ranges
wood.
of 100 to 600, 650.
I just think it's pretty. I don't know if it works. And but I like that. I like the metal on the lid. I just think they've done a nice job. Anyway, I want to know if you know. Have you heard of it?
Holy. No, I've never heard of Black Earth.
Oh, look at the prices.
Yeah, look at this one.
They're not.
This
you know,
is the
my father
Black Earth community.
Jesus.
Look at the size of this thing. There's 47
you know
knobs
what that
on the
looks
front.
like? No, there's not 47. You can count better than that.
There's 8.
You know what it looks like? It looks like those grills that you rent from a like
for a church function.
Like a rental company, for a church function. Is that pellet? That's not pellet.
That's pellets there. That's the pellet hopper. But look at this right here on the bottom right. That's a fireboard.
What?
Yeah, that's a fireboard.
How do you not know about this with your fireboard boys?
They don't tell me. What do I know?
Well, they should.
Look at this.
Why are people not talking about this shit more?
I don't know. I've answer your question, I'm not familiar. They
I'm
are
fascinated with
highly aesthetically pleasing. They're on the higher end of price, but
honestly, I'm embarrassed to say that that's what got me at first. Was that?
Well,
it's also what got me about my wife. So
the price tag, or it was hot.
The look. Did I mention
right.
Did I mention to your listeners that I have a degree in French literature?
You might have mentioned that already. By the way, nobody's guessed right here. So
nobody's guessed.
For as much as I immediately knew.
People are not paying close enough attention. That's all
Obviously
I have to say.
What is your go-to? Oh, let me ask you this question because Malcolm mentioned it on the way out, and I didn't even think about it. Are you going to be available next month? Because next Tuesday is July 4th.
Wait, what? Oh,
I'm sorry. In the next
you
month.
You mean next time I'm here? Yeah.
You're fine with that?
I hate to not. I think I'm here. Sure.
All right. Malcolm Reed said he was going to be blowing up fireworks.
I'm sure he would.
Yeah.
Oh, well, it's not dark, so I don't need to do that. And I'll probably be right here looking out that window at the fireworks that happen over the San Diego Bay that's over there someplace.
Perfect. All right. So we'll count you in for next month. And
count me in.
We'll talk about the following next month. Combustion Inc. experience with that thermometer. And
that means I better start using it. Go ahead.
And how you have found your experience with the Traeger Ironwood XL and the Traeger Flat Rock since you've had them. These are things that we're going to be talking about next month.
Those are on the list?
Those are on the list.
Okay. I got it. Okay.
Sam, before I let you go, I'm going to close it out the way I close it out every segment. What am I making for dinner tomorrow night?
You know what I'm making tonight? Kelly's out of town.
By herself?
She's still in the old country. So I went to the store today. I'm working on a recipe for something that will not interest any of your listeners.
Great. Let's hear it.
No, it involves liver.
I'm sure there's plenty of listeners that love liver.
It involves chopped liver.
I mean, what's the difference? It's liver.
It's actually better. It's mayo, there's eggs, there's onions and stuff.
Chopped liver is better than regular liver? Like, is it liver salad? Is that what you mean? Like chicken salad, liver salad? What? I don't know. I'm trying to get a
chopped liver is a decidedly Jewish holiday food. And to many people, I think 2 of my 3 sons included, it's disgusting. But you gotta like liver. You cook chicken livers with onions.
Yeah.
And then you process them. And then you mix in some mayo and some parsley and that kind of stuff. It's really good. Anyway, it's a long story and I'm not going to get into it right now. But the point is, I went to the store to buy some parsley for this because I was out. And I walked past the the seafood counter, and there was some beautiful salmon there. And I looked at the guy, and he goes, "Hey, can I get you anything?" I go, "Is it possible just to have some belly of that beautiful whole salmon fillet right there?" He was 100%. How much do you want? I go, "Give me like just 2 inches down the whole length." So just before we got on the air, I got it off the skin. I chopped it up. It's a little container in my fridge. I have some furikake. You know what furikake is?
Of course. How dare you?
I have some furikake, some Japanese mayo that I'll mix with it. And I'm not sure what I'll put it on yet. Maybe some rice. I'll probably make some white rice, put it on that. And that's my dinner tonight, and could be your dinner tonight or tomorrow night.
Smoking Joe's Pit says your watch is pretty savage. You have the Nixon on tonight?
I do have my dark gray Nixon on.
Uh-huh.
Thanks, Joe.
I think Smoking Joe's Pit Barbecue would be shocked. He's saying that watch costs more than the high-level Black Earth grill, but I happen to know that it's far from the case.
It's not even close. It's
not even close.
It's less than a tenth of the price.
Yeah, totally. But they're really cool watches. I have them.
It's a great watch.
We're watching.
I'll tell you something. I've got a much more expensive watch than this.
Yes.
This is the one that gets the comments.
Mm,
I think because of its size.
Yeah, it's 51 millimeter. It's very big.
It's a big ass watch. Yeah. With my logo on the inside of it.
Of course. It's custom.
Yep.
You can subscribe to Sam over on YouTube when you go to youtube.com/@thecooking-guy, and you can also go to shopstcg.com. When am I getting your boner?
I just got it. I just got one in my hand. It sounds so bad the other day, and it will be coming to you. You'll have it within a week.
I'm going to have your boner in a week?
Beautiful. My 6-inch boner.
Okay. Sounds great. And I'm just going to isolate this, and tomorrow or next week we'll have it in Sound Drop Bank. Great. Shopstcg.com for all the accoutrements.
Go there for everything fun. Yeah.
And thecookingguy.com for everything else recipe-wise. Sam, always appreciate the time. We'll see you in July.
Thanks, buddy. Make something different, everybody. Don't make the same shit all the time.
That's right. We'll make the same stuff all the time. All right, Christy Vanover is ready to go. We'll get to her in just 1 second. We'll see what she thinks about the YouTube poll question of the week. Hey, Big Papa Smokers is the one-stop online shop for all things barbecue, a curated selection of only the best outdoor cooking and grilling supplies, getting you on the path to better barbecue results in no time. Everything's been Pitmaster approved by Sterling Big Papa Ball. Known for the championship rubs and seasonings, popular flavors like Sweet Money, Cattle Prod, Cash Cow, Double Secret Steak Rub, Hot Sweet Money, I think that's a thing too, and Little Louis Seasoned Salt, which I love. 13 perfectly balanced flavors, transforming ordinary meals into extraordinary meals. Also owner of Granny's Barbecue Sauce. So if you're looking for a new go-to sauce that will please everybody, why not give Granny's traditional sauce a shot? Also a seller of the very best pellet charcoal and wood cookers available. If you're looking for a versatile smoker that's easy to use, check out that Mac 2-star General pellet cooker. Big Papa Smokers, the exclusive Mac dealer, even offering special packages. If you're not a fan of pellet smokers, take a look at that Old Hickory Ace BP, the only charcoal smoker the Big Papa trusts on his competition trailer. If you're not sure of what grill you need, call them and ask questions. 877-828-0727. That's 877-828-0727, or shop their website, bigpapasmokers.com. That's BIGPOPPA smokers.com. We are back with Girls Can Grill's Christy Vanover right after this. Stick around. Be right back.
You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show. Let's get back to a guy who has more experience giving you his opinion than he actually has cooking. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
And of course, we're thanking Sam the Cooking Guy for joining us last segment, thecooking.guy.com, and links to all of his various other internet properties that you can link to off of that. Helping me close it out tonight, a competitive barbecue cook, a KCBS certified judge, very popular on social media, and is always looking to promote the fun of cooking over some type of live fire. Earlier in the year, Kamado Joe introduced their Connected Joe cooker into the market, and I have seen interesting talk shooting around the internets and thought it would be interesting here to have somebody who actually has one and can talk knowledgeably about it. She's the pitmaster of Girls Can Grill. We welcome back Christy Van over to the show. Hey, Christy.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Before we talk about Connected Joe, whoever that is, let's talk about the YouTube poll question of the week, and I'm asking everybody this. Would you make a 50-50 mix of pellet and wood chips to increase the smoke output of your pellet cooker?
No. And the reason for that is because they're really engineered to run off of pellets. You can increase the smoke by putting it in a smoke tube, like an Amazing Tube or something like that. That's a good way if you want more of that natural wood flavor. But no, I think you'll clog it. I've dropped a drill bit in a pellet grill before and clogged it and caught it on fire and done all sorts of things. So yeah, no, they're designed for pellets. So I'd keep it with pellets.
All right, so 64% of the YouTube voting public are agreeing with us, saying no, we would not do that. As you said, pellet manufacturers are not recommending that. However, there is a video that's circulating now from Greg at Ballistic Barbecue, who owns a Lone Star pellet cooker, and evidently Lone Star makes wood chips, and he decided to go 50-50. That's his experience, so if you're interested in watching the video, you can go ahead and do that. If you're also interested in throwing caution to the wind and you want to document it and let me know all of your trials and tribulations and experience going through it, would love to hear the feedback. And if you're interested, I'll have you on as a guest and we can talk about it, but that's a different story for a different day. As I had mentioned in the open, Christy.
I want to see him grind up some charcoal briquettes or lump and throw them in.
Yeah, I mean, why not, right? I mean, they have charcoal pellets now. I mean, they had those 10 years ago, and then they went away, but now they've made a resurgence as well, so we'll see what happens. You have a Kamado Joe, a Connected Joe, as it were, and I've been talking to Wes Wright about it from cookoutnews.com. I've had a weird conversation with the owner at Primo, Nick Bauer, who said, well, Connected Joe is certainly a thing. However, the people that gave Kamado Joe that technology showed up to our door the next day and said, hey, do you want the same thing that Kamado Joe was going to use? So there doesn't seem to be any exclusivity to that, not necessarily here or there. Talk to me about the basic operations of Connected Joe.
So what's unique about Connected Joe compared to a regular Kamado Joe or Big Green Egg, a Primo, etc., is the digital technology. So if you think about a pellet grill, which really kind of changed the barbecue game as far as bringing in people who were not comfortable managing heat, managing fires. Pellet grills kind of turn grills into ovens. You push some buttons, you hit 350 degrees or whatever temperature you want to cook at, and everything happens for you. Well, that really, it existed a little bit with the Masterbuilt, with the charcoal, like they worked that out. There was definitely some hot spots in that one, so there were some things to manage through that. But what the Connected Joe does, basically the same kind of concept as that, but you can use charcoal. You can use lump charcoal, you can use briquette charcoal. You put it in to the Kamado Joe, you push the button, and it automatically lights it for you, which is one feature. But then it basically has an onboard control fan. So whether it's a Fireboard or Flame Boss or whatever brand you usually use, or a Billows, it's basically got all of that worked into the components. So you set the dial just like you would for an oven or like you would for a pellet grill. And then the idea is that it manages the heat for you. It blows in the oxygen, feeds the fire, etc. So you basically don't have to do anything to manage your heat, and you just cook it according to the recipe.
So my next question was going to be, what charcoal do you use? Now, for as long as I've been in the game, hearing about ceramic style cookers, it's long been preached, only use lump. You know, it doesn't ash as much, not going to clog up. Sometimes maybe the ash isn't coming down the specific grate that needs to get down to the bottom where you would end up cleaning it out. But you're saying it doesn't matter. You can use a briquette charcoal, which, as anybody knows, is a large asher, large, I don't even know what the hell I'm trying, creates much more ash than lump charcoal would, but that doesn't seem to be a problem.
Yeah, no, I've actually cooked with both. I've cooked with lump, I've cooked with briquette, and then I've also done a combo because personally, I actually like a combo. I like the higher heat you get from lump. I like the flavor you get from briquette. It's just a little bit more unique flavor, I think. Just that traditional backyard flavor. I've thrown wood chunks in there as well. From a clean out standpoint, yes, it does produce more ash because that's what briquettes do. But that was one of the things with the Kamado that I wanted to test as well. Cleaning out grills is a big deal. And especially with women grillers, they don't like to get dirty. That's the feedback I hear all the time. That's kind of the reason, one of the reasons they don't do charcoal as much. Pellets a little bit easier, but in the end, pellets really not, unless you have like a GMG where you can vacuum out the ash, where they've got that little kind of compartment where you can throw your shop vac right through there. You know, if you have a Traeger or something like that, you've got to pull out the grill grates, you've got to pull out the deflector plate, you know, it's all greasy, it's a mess. And then you have like this much ash that you're going to like get out of there. It's not a lot, but you have to do it every now and then. Well, the Kamado Joe, you take off the grates. I mean, it's similar to a big green egg or primo, but you basically take off your grates and then you kind of rake it all down. And it has kind of like a kick ash basket kind of concept kind of built in there. And then it goes down in the bottom. But what I do like about the Kamado Joe compared to at least the big green egg that I have is it's got that drawer that you just pull the drawer out, put it over to your ash can or whatever, your trash can if it's all the way cool, and you just dump it out. And I was concerned it wasn't going to collect all the ash because when I used briquettes and there was more ash, I was concerned it might overflow and then kind of make a mess, but the capacity on it was fine. I didn't have any issues with that.
You had mentioned a kick ash basket style innard. Can you retrofit? Can you put a kick ash basket in there, or does it say if you're going to use this effectively, just keep all the OEM parts where they're at?
Yeah, I don't know. Yes, if you used it on manual, there'd be no problem using the kick ash basket in there. But because of the automatic fire starter system, I think the kick ash basket may interfere. I'm not sure. I haven't retrofitted and tried that out. But the way the automatic fire system works is if you visualize like an electric burner on an old-fashioned stovetop where, you know, you turn it on and then it turns bright red, that's basically inside of the cavity of the connected Joe. So when you push the button, and it's optional, you don't have to use this, but you push that button and that burner, that electric burner basically gets really, really hot and it lights your coals automatically. So you don't have to use fire starters. You don't have to use, you know, a lighter or anything like that. You just push that button and it lights it for you. So I don't know if a kick ash basket would interfere with that heat, you know, or not. I'm not sure.
How many times have you used it?
Probably 5 to 7, I think. Yeah.
How do you come across
them? So right now I'm doing expert grill reviews for barbecue guys. So they're sending me a variety of grills to just test out and create videos for, give my honest feedback for. And that's one of the main things that I said to them. I said, you know, I don't want you sending me a grill and then me having to say that I love it, because if I don't love it, I want to tell people I don't love it. I know they're trying to sell grills, but you know, I've got my reputation too. And they 100% said, yes, that we want your honest feedback. We want your honest opinion. And with the Connected Joe, there's been a little hiccups. There have been a few, and I've been in touch with their engineers and their marketing team and other folks, because I have kind of a beta model also. So we're working through some of those things and I'm giving feedback on them, and things are improving as we go. And they weren't big things, but enough that definitely they got to make some tweaks.
I'm interested when you're telling barbecue guys, look, you know, I'm Christy Vanover. I got a reputation. You know, if I say it sucks, it sucks. Is there then and they're okay with that? What happens if you run across a grill and you're like, hey, this thing really blows and there's nothing I like about it? Do they just end up hiding it or not sticking it on the website or really hyping it up versus something that you really like where they can attach that video?
Fortunately, I haven't run across that yet. Hopefully I don't. There was a grill that I used that there were features that I personally wouldn't spend the money to buy it. The grill worked fine. But as an example, to hold the propane tank, it had like a canvas strap. I live in the desert. A canvas strap's going to last about 6 months. And then there's going to be nothing to hold up a tank. So as opposed to something metal or something like that. So I share that feedback in hopes that the manufacturer will, you know, maybe consider that. And that grill specifically, it wasn't one of the expert grill reviews I did. It was just one that I was playing around with and testing out. But we just started this. The Kamado Joe is my first one. I've got a DCS that I'm going to be trying next. I'm going to be trying the Everdoor Kamado style. I'm going to be trying the one of the pizza ovens that's out right now. I've also been doing a lot of beta testing for Ninja. I continue with that. So yeah, trying out lots of different stuff.
Are you keeping those grills?
Um, fortunately, I have a big backyard, but it's
Wow.
a mix.
I mean, that's
So
like
if I
5
like
right
it,
off the bat that you're gonna have to find homes for, I mean, like, at your house.
right. Well, I've
Wow.
got 30 right now, not counting the 5 that are on the way.
Are they just out in the yard somewhere? 30
Well,
grills?
I have my grill kitchen. I've got my outdoor kitchen. So, I've got my standouts. I've got my Grill Works, which is my big asado style grill, with the Argentinian style grill. I've got my Evo, which I didn't think that I was going to love, my Evo griddle. Turns out I do.
Why wouldn't you?
So, well, I mean, I have other griddles, and I'm like, why do I need this big thing? But
Sam, the
yeah,
cooking guy, uses it, and he loves it.
I know, I know he does. But like what just Mike was talking about, like grease control, that's a concern I have with griddles. Like I don't want the grease all over, and I just wasn't sure how it would hold up. And honestly, it's great, and we have so much fun on it. It's a little tall for me because I'm short, but other than that, I have no complaints about that one. So yeah, there's a lot of grills out there. Some of them I donate to fire departments or whatever. Some of them I sell. Yeah, some of them we just give to friends.
Just to close it out with the Kamado Joe here,
Mhm.
over the next couple of questions. You had mentioned there were some hiccups. Like, how are you finding its operation in general? And then what would you give them directly? Like, if Kamado Joe called and said, what do we need to do better on this? What would you give them as a couple points to tighten up?
Yeah, so we actually have had several conversations via email and on the phone to work through some of the things. One of the primary things that has to be fixed, and I believe they are fixing it, is the temperature variation. So when I set it to 250, on the way the control board works is you just basically program it to 250 like you would a pellet grill, and then it tells you what the ambient temperature of the grill is. It would be about 50 degrees higher. But the thermometer that's on, they have an analog thermometer still at the top that's on the dome. Now that of course is going to be a little bit variance because of where the probes are for each types of grills. But that one was a little bit closer to what I had it programmed to, but the bottom one was significantly off.
Mm.
And for somebody like me who can manage heat and control fire, I can play around with it and understand it. But for somebody who's expecting, if I set my grill to 250, I want it to be 250. I knew that was going to cause some conflicts. So there's an app also that you can control everything with. And when I got to the app and everything, I realized that my firmware version was out of date. So we updated the firmware version. That did help it a little bit, but they acknowledged that that's something that they're still working through. And it's actually burning at the right temperature. It's just not registering properly as far as that little, the other thing that tells you what the temperature is. So they're working on those details. There'll be another firmware update. But it's something they know about. And that's so again, that's part of the reason I was with the beta models, is just kind of work out those kind of kinks.
We kind of talked about it. You kind of mentioned it as far as this thing is lighting the charcoal for you. You had mentioned that some women you would talk to stray away from charcoal because it's a little dirty. Do you think this lowers the barrier to entry to folks that are interested in ceramic grills?
Yeah, 100%. So the big barriers that I hear from women are with gas grills. They get nervous because they don't want to like ignite it, like that big poof that like scares them that there could be like a big fire. The barrier that I hear with charcoal is that it's dirty. So with this one, you don't really have to touch it. You don't have to touch the charcoal. You can pour the charcoal right into it. You turn it on, like I said, the automatic fire starter. You don't even have to light it. And then the only thing you'll have to touch is taking out the grill grates and then using your scraper tool to put it in the ash basket and dump it. Like it's really a nice clean setup. And there is a good variety. It's got the indirect with the divide and conquer system. It's got like a half ceramic plate, so you can do half direct, half indirect. It's got a double stack, and then there's tons of accessories, the rotisserie and the wok and all sorts of other stuff like, every grill comes out with. But from a basic standpoint, I think it's a good entry charcoal grill, but I say entry with the caveat that it's really expensive. It's $1,700. So if you really want to grill with charcoal and you just want to try it, you might want to get $100-$200 Weber. But if you want to grill with charcoal and you really don't want to mess and you don't want to understand how to control heat and you have the $1,700, then yeah, give it a shot.
So that's the next question. Is this a mistake, or is this where we are in the barbecue and grilling world, making pellet cookers and now this Connected Joe where, the fire management has been removed? Is this table stakes now? If you want to be getting into the manufacturing of cookers, you want to take that stuff away from the majority of people out there?
I think it's actually really smart. I think that what the pellet grill has done for barbecue is huge. It has helped bring more and more women into barbecue. and more even men into barbecue who are intimidated by the challenge of barbecue, who maybe bought, like me, the first smoker I bought was a $99, I don't even know if it had a brand name, from Walmart, offset, with super thin walls. I threw big logs of hickory in there, and the food was horrible, but I was so proud. I smoked, I barbecued, I thought it was great, but it was horrible. So I thought, I don't know how to barbecue. The first real smoker I got was a big green egg. And it like changed the way that I barbecued. I understood and I learned how to manage fire. Well, that's again, a big investment, and two, you still had to understand fire. So when pellet grills came on the market, I think that was made things easier. Even my dad, he's got the Weber Genesis that now, I used to tell him, okay, Dad, turn it to medium. And now he can just like program it to 350. Like it's bringing people to the game. And then I don't think it's going to make barbecue go away, because once they get hooked on that and they understand meat temps and other temps, then they get excited to cook over live fire. Then they might try, asado style or some other things. So I think it's kind of like a gateway drug to barbecue. So I'm cool with it. I do.
I don't think people are like that. I don't think people, once they know they don't have to figure that skill out, I don't think they want to go learn it. I think, sound like an old guy now, but I think when we were getting into it, like, you still had to know that. That's a skill that's good to have. You can show up, like, I could come to your house and cook on every single cooker that you have, from offset, stick burner to everything else in between, because I can build and maintain, keep a fire. But if you're just starting on a pellet cooker or a connected Joe or something along these lines where you don't have to know that, I don't think your desire is to learn how to go backwards. I think that's just something that evaporates.
I think that's where social media comes in. I think that's where people like me and others out there who get you excited about barbecue, and maybe you want to learn one of my Ninja Grill recipes or one of my pellet grill recipes, but then you also see me doing a whole hog asador over, a live fire. It's that FOMO. Like you want to be part of it. You want to figure out the next thing. I mean, it's not everybody, but I think through social media, there's people out there who are like, yeah, that's pretty cool and sexy. That's pretty rad to work with real fire. So I think there's people out there who get enticed by it.
Should other ceramic cooker makers be on board with this? Should they be looking to bring something like this into their portfolio?
I don't think it's a bad idea. I mean, obviously time will tell. But like I said, with Weber doing it with the gas grill, obviously pellet grills have been doing it. Basically, the Ninja Outdoor Grill does that. You push a button, you turn it on. I think it makes things easier. Does it make a traditional barbecue? No, but at least this is one step closer, in my opinion, to actual barbecue flavor. You're cooking with lump, you're cooking with briquettes, you can throw wood chunks on there. Pellet grill's just not quite the same flavor for me. So I really like that I can still use charcoal and lump and get that barbecue flavor.
When I was ending my conversation with Malcolm in the first hour, I also asked Mike Lang on the way out of his segment in the first hour. We talked about this thing. Now, as I'm kind of figuring out here or learning, maybe this isn't as new as I thought it was, but it was kind of the first I was hearing about it. Pre-trimmed competition meat. So I said, hey, Malcolm, what if I showed up to the same competition as you? We're next door, and you start asking me about my meat, and I say, oh, hey, by the way, Malcolm or Christy, all this stuff came from so-and-so's butcher shop. I didn't put one effing finger on it, and it's all competition trimmed. You think it looks great or whatever. Do you have a problem with that? Is that cheating?
I don't, and I've actually had the idea years ago. Like, everybody hates to trim chicken. I actually like to trim chicken. I just find it kind of therapeutic. But years ago, I was like, the fact that I like this, like, I could get a whole little manufacturing team together and we could start, crushing this out. Same thing with building boxes. My mother-in-law loves to build boxes. People would pay her to build boxes. So I don't think there's an issue. I think that you'd have to make sure it's the brand of meat that you want and the quality, like whether you want a gold or whether you want an A9 or, any of that stuff. You'd obviously have to account for that. If I had pre-trimmed chicken as a competitor, I would probably unwrap each and every single one and make sure that the tendon was gone, the vein was, like, I'd still double check because I'm OCD. But as far as an edge, no. I heard Malcolm's segment and I agree 100% with what he did say. We already have an edge. If we can buy a $300 brisket and cook that gives us an edge over the backyard guy who's cooking for the first time with his Costco Prime. So there's already enough variables in barbecue that it doesn't matter to me. It's how you turn in your box.
As far as your OCD is concerned, would you get over that after 2 orders if they appeared to meet your standard? Like on the 3rd order, would you be less OCD or do you see it continuing?
Depends on the comp. If it was a comp I needed to win to get to the jack, I'd still be OCD. I'd probably still trim it myself, honestly, if it was a comp I needed for the jack. But if it was just another comp, in California, there's like 12 or 13 of those. And if I win, I get a draw. That's awesome. Then yeah, I'd probably be a little more lax.
What else what else you up to?
Cooking this weekend in Ogden, so that should be an auto for the Jack. Supposedly, I maybe already have an auto because I won in California, and the other Nevada team who won an auto. So I don't know. The rules to get into the Jack are all so confusing, but that's a huge goal because I love the Jack. I'm doing a big cooking event in August in LA with Embers and Ash and a few other celebrity barbecue guys. So you can buy tickets for that. Other than that, yeah, just continuing to cook, and some things definitely on the horizon within the next month. I just can't quite talk about them yet, but stay tuned to Girls Can Grill and I'll be sharing them.
I don't think I asked. Bottom line score, the connected cooker, 1 being the worst ever, 10 being the best ever. What are we giving it for those that are in consideration of a connected Joe?
For now, I would go 8.
8?
And that's, yeah,
nice.
But still high because I think it delivers as long as they can fine tune that temperature variance. One thing people have to get used to is with the Connected Joe, you close the bottom vent completely because it has the control fan, and then the top vent, like you barely have it open depending on the temperature that you want to get at. So, yeah, that's something just kind of new to adjust to. But if they can get that temperature control down, I think it's fantastic. So the other thing is that it is a ceramic cooker. So whether you're cooking on any type of ceramic cooker, if you start hot, if you start at 400 degrees and you expect to get back down to 225, that's not going to happen.
Yep.
So think about the style of cooking that you want to do. Reverse sear is better, starting at like a 225 and then raising it up to a 400. But yeah, overall, I was impressed. If I have a grill I don't love, I'll cook on it maybe twice and then just kind of put it to the giveaway pile. But I think this one's going to stay in my backyard for a little while.
Christy, you've said it all. You've given your honest opinion here after using it. And for those folks that have seen it in the ads or heard us talk about it on the show for the last couple months and you're on that fence, maybe this puts you over the edge. We shall see. But I certainly appreciate the time tonight. Good luck at the contest that you have coming up.
Thank you.
And we will talk to you again soon.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys. Bye.
It's Christy Vanover right there, closing out the show here this evening. So if you have been interested in the Kamado Joe's connected cooker, look, to be honest, I had no idea that thing was $1,700. Holy crap. That's very expensive. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Does anybody know what the extra large competition is? Maybe I'm off base, but $1,700 for connected cooker sounds a lot. I mean, if you can get the charcoal started, this isn't anti-connected Joe, but I'm just saying, if you don't mind getting a little dirty, you know how to start charcoal, then you can just get a Flame Boss or a Barbecue Guru or one of those things, or the Fireboard. You can get the fan from them and let that stoke the fire, maybe save some money. But if you don't want to mess around with that and you like ceramic cookers, certainly an option you can take a look at if you would be more in that camp than not. Christy said it's 8 out of 10. And it sounds like if they get that thing worked out that she's talking about, you're looking at, an 8+, maybe 9, maybe it's perfect, maybe it's 10 if they get that worked out. Andrew Barnhart is saying a Big Green Egg extra large is $1,800 all by itself. All right. So maybe Kamado Joe with the connection technology isn't nearly as bad, considering the Big Green Egg is $1,800. And then you'd be adding technology on top of that. I don't think Big Green Egg is in any rush to bring any type of technology to anything. They've proven that over the last 20 years. So living off of what they've always lived off seems to be the motto going on over there. Maybe they'll be changed at some point. Who knows? And I know Primo isn't interested at this point in taking the technology that was offered to them from those folks over at Kamado Joe. Maybe they're interested in making something of their own. We shall see. Time will tell, folks. That's what we know here the most. All right, let's go ahead and break loose. All the way back in the first hour, it was Malcom Reed from How to Barbecue Right. And then it was Mike Lang from Another Pint Please. And then we moved to the second hour where we found our pal, my pal, not your pal, Sam the Cooking Guy. And we close it out with Christy Vanover from Girls Can Grill, who talked about the Connected Joe Kamado Joe cooker. And she has a competition coming. girlscangrill.com, her website. Follow her socially on Instagram and TikTok and all those other places. She's an influencer, you know. All right. Big show playing for you next week. I have bumped Meathead, if you can believe it. And we're going to have Barbecue Hall of Famer, Sweet Baby Ray. That's right. And then we'll have Robert Moss. And in the second hour, we will have, for the first time ever, Grilling with Dad, Maciek Zarowski. And we'll close it out with Mike McLeod from World Food Championships and the co-putter together of that famous Dave's event that's going on through the end of August. Plenty to get to. So, how do I always leave? September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. Until next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, this is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Bye-bye.
This is Dion Blumenrader with Big Hoss One Sauce, and you're listening to the best show on all things barbecue with my man, Greg Rempe.